Let's continue this conversation now and bring in Dennis Juru from the International Cross-Border Association. Dennis, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. What are the reports that you are receiving around what is happening this morning and perhaps maybe even what happened yesterday into the evening?
Good morning, Adrian. Good morning to your viewers. The situation is very, very tense, considering that we are preparing for festive season. And if you look at the queues already at Lebombo border post, you know, it's a bad situation and the border is closed. I was at the border yesterday and the queue is as long as about 25 kilometers. This is before holiday makers can attempt to cross into Mozambique. So the situation is very, very tense. If we look at the images we are getting from the Mozambican side, there are a lot of protests, burning of cars. The safety is not guaranteed for any travelers.
Yeah, and are you hearing anything coming out from the Mozambique side as well when it comes to the closure of the border post and the impact that it's having?
Yes, our agents at the Mozambican side says the situation is still tense, as there are some groups of protesters that are emerging. Anytime they come in and back, if they're dispersed by the police, they still come back and disrupt the operations at the border. So at the moment, it's still the same until probably maybe SADC can intervene and try to advocate for peace talks in that country.
Yeah, and from the Mozambican side, do you know whether they have similar queues like the ones that we are seeing here in South Africa?
They are not as long as the South African side because people were advised that there are some protests at the Mozambican side. Our members, especially in the petroleum industry and those who transport coal, they managed to park in a safe area at the Mozambican side, most of them, as they all know that the situation is tense at the Mozambican side. So at the Mozambican side, it's better. And we are advising those who are in the queue at the South African side to try to go back at least to places of safety, such as truck stops and police stations.
Yeah. What's your major concern now? As Kelly has also said a bit earlier on in an interview, that they're not too sure how long the border post will be closed for. And with that uncertainty, what sort of challenges do you think that presents?
Yes, number one, economic sabotage by protesters, even though they are trying to fight for their democracy, but it also suffocates the economy of the region, especially South Africa and Botswana, as we see that Botswana companies are using the Mozambique hub to receive goods through the seas, as well as holiday makers. We know how much Mozambicans are in South Africa, how much they integrated with the South African community to an extent that they have families in South Africa with South Africans. And you find that there are a number of South Africans who need to travel to Mozambique to see their relatives from that side. So it's now a problem for those travelers to drive to Mozambique. I think earlier yesterday there was a problem with fueling at the OR Tambo International Airport. South Africa is loading a lot of fuel, especially diesel from Matola in Mozambique, and with that border closed, it becomes an economic setback.
Sure. So there is a lot there, considering the knock-on effect of it. A bit early on, you're speaking about the intervention from SADC and the requirement that, listen, SADC must intervene. There was a meeting that was held in Zimbabwe, extraordinary summit. last month. I just quickly want to read from the communique and ask you whether you believe that this is enough. The summit received an update from His Excellency Philippe Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, on the post-election political and security situation in the country, and reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to work with the Republic of Mozambique in ensuring peace, security and stability through the relevant structures of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security operations and cooperation. The summit extended its condolences to the government as well on the people that have passed away during the post-election violence. Is that enough?
It is not enough, as we all know that SADC is a toothless bulldog. These skirmishes and protests and whatever, undemocratic events are always unfolding in this region, and SADC does nothing because they are friends. It's a group of friends, and I can't see anything taking place. Instead of fixing problems in Mozambique, the SADC leaders are busy congratulating such an election. I can't say the election was not free and fair, but as long as there are some skirmishes between the police or the government and people, there should be an intervention of SADC trying to mediate, like what they did in 2008 in Zimbabwe when there was instability. They need to try and be fast so that we don't lose lives. It's not necessary when they know that there are some misunderstandings between the two.
Yeah. And finally, what's your advice to people who want to travel to Mozambique via the Lebombo border post and trucking companies as well?
Yes, as what the minister said, transport minister said yesterday, Lebombo is now the busiest commercial border in SADC, which was Bedbridge before. I would like to advise those who uses that border to use other borders, or those who wants to travel to Mozambique to try to at least fly if they can afford, or remain in South Africa if the situation is still tense, so that they remain safe, unlike going to the border where there are protesters and burning of cars. They will end up not reaching their destinations. So we advise them to avoid that border, and we advise those who are in the queues to go to places of safety.